I'm Danny Quinn, and welcome to another episode of First Impressions. On today's episode, John David Washington and Adam Driver must infiltrate the Ku Klux Klan in Spike Lee's latest BlackKklansman. This movie is set in 1979 and it's loosely based on the true story of Ron Stallworth, played by John David Washington, the first black officer in the Colorado Springs Police Department. And he soon becomes involved in a sting to infiltrate and expose the local chapter of the Ku Klux Klan with the help of his fellow officer Flip Zimmerman, played by Adam Driver, who poses as him to become a member of the Klan as they attempt to sanitize their violent rhetoric in the hopes of appealing to the mainstream. BlackKklansman is the latest film from Spike Lee, and for this latest production, he is partnered with Jordan Peele of Get Out fame as the film's producer, and that should pretty much tell you what kind of movie you're in for. It's a very funny movie for one thing. Not only is the script and dialogue tinged with a lot of humour, but Lee's direction is very on point. The comedic timing in this film is just brilliant. I'll admit I'm not terribly familiar with Spike Lee's work, but if he demonstrates the same level of skill and comedic timing in his other films, I'll definitely have to check them out at some point, because the humour here is just spot on. Especially in the scenes where Washington Stallworth communicates with Topher Grace's KKK leader David Duke over the phone. Those scenes are easily some of the comedic highlights of the film. And not only is it a very funny movie, it is a very thought-provoking movie too. And it offers quite a bit of insight into racism and hatred. There's a subplot throughout the film involving Stallworth getting into a relationship with an outspoken student played by Laura Harrier. And she's very much this activist. She's organising all these rallies against racism, which naturally puts her within the crosshairs of the KKK. And she's this character who's very much against the system, and especially the police. And I do think that makes for some interesting subtext, especially one scene whenever her and Stallworth have a conversation about whether blaxploitation movies are genuinely empowering for black people. And the performances are also excellent. John David Washington really makes a strong impression in the lead role. He gives the performance almost as good as what his dad Denzel would probably give in a role like this. And I hope we do see more of him in the future. Adam Driver is as reliable as ever, and the pair have terrific chemistry together, and Laura Harrier also impresses as the love interest. She was kind of underutilised in Spider-Man Homecoming last year, but here, I genuinely quite liked her as Stallworth's girlfriend. I thought she did a really good job. Hell, even the actors playing the Klan members are genuinely great. They all fit their roles very well, and they're very funny playing these very loathsome and despicable individuals. The film does kind of risk being a bit tonally all over the place. There's a lot of scenes that will make you laugh, but there's also just as many scenes that will make you feel very angry and shocked at just how cruel and contemptible people can be. And I really gotta hand it to Lee. He really balances the more comedic aspects of the story with the more serious aspects very well. I love the way he sort of contrasts and juxtaposes all these different events. There's terrific use of parallel editing during the film's climax, where we juxtapose the KKK watching Birth of a Nation with somebody telling a very tragic story about racial abuse at a rally. BlackKklansman is one of those movies I could see a lot of people drawing comparisons between what happened in the film and what happened at the time to what's happening today. In fact, the movie almost kind of invites those comparisons on several occasions. There's a couple of not too subtle tempting fate lines, and the KKK go around constantly chanting America first. And in general, I'd say the film is really anything but subtle with its message, but at the same time, I don't think that's really inherently a bad thing. Especially nowadays, subtlety isn't exactly a strong point in this day and age, so I don't think it's really a bad thing whenever a movie's not particularly subtle about its message. But I do think the film has a few issues. It's a little too long for one thing at 135 minutes, and I do think the film's ending goes a little too far. I can't talk too much about it at length without giving away spoilers, but I will say this. It directly references a recent event, and while I can see the thinking behind why they included it at the end of the film, I get that it's a movie about racism and it's about how racism is unfortunately alive and well even today, but I just don't think the film had to end that particular way. It did kind of leave me feeling on a very sour note, and it did take me out of the movie a bit. But aside from that, I do think BlackKklansman is a very effective and hard-hitting movie. It's provocative, it's brutally funny, it's very well shot, very well edited, very well put together, and yeah, its pacing can be a bit slow and it is a little too long, and I also have mixed feelings on the film's ending. I do think it's really well worth seeing. It's an equally funny and intelligent movie, and it's one that will get you thinking. I know it certainly got me thinking, so it must be doing something right. And after all is said and done, I'm gonna give BlackKklansman a strong 7 out of 10. I do think it's the film's ending that kind of hurts it a wee bit. I do think it kind of takes me out of the movie, but I do really like it, and if you are interested, see it as soon as you can. It is definitely worth your time. So BlackKklansman, have you seen it yet? If so, what did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you once again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe to my channel while you're at it. If you want to follow me on social media or support me on Patreon, links below down in the description. And if there's anything I can do to improve my presentation, do let me know. I'm always happy to hear feedback as long as it's somewhat constructive. And until next time, I'm Danny Quinn, and I hope you have a pleasant evening.